This guy, remember him? He is the guy who killed the 10 people in the Buffalo grocery store. So I'm going to read this article from CNN. Buffalo grocery store mass shooter apologizes for racist attack and receives sentence of life in prison. So he was sentenced to life in prison. Just a little note, you guys. There was one of the victim's sister was making a personal impact statement about how her life and the lives of everyone who loved, I think her name was Catherine Massey or Macy, who was killed when this happened. Her sister was making a statement to the court about how their lives have been impacted. And then there was a man dressed in gray, a black man, who ran towards the murderer, this 19-year-old guy who threw his life away and took the lives of these 10 people. He rushed toward him and the police had to jump in and intervene. So that was, really crazy. But you can understand seeing this guy who just randomly murdered, or not randomly, you guys. This was a planned attack by someone who did it because of racism. All right. So let me get back to the article. The 19-year-old white man who killed 10 people in a racist mass shooting at a grocery store in a predominantly black area of Buffalo last May apologized to the victims' families and was sentenced to life in prison during an emotional court hearing on Wednesday. He said, "I'm very sorry for all the pain I forced the victims and their families to suffer through. I'm very sorry for stealing the lives of your loved ones. I cannot express how much I regret all the decisions I made leading up to my actions on May 14th, Peyton Gendron, wearing an orange jumpsuit and shackles, said in court. I did a terrible thing that day. I shot and killed people because they were black. Looking back now, I can't believe I actually did it. I believed what I read online and acted out of hate. I know I can't take it back, but I wish I could. And I don't want anyone to be inspired by me and what I did." That was very moving. And for some reason, I believe him. That is why I always say we have to be vigilant about what young people are seeing on these social media sites. Monitor your children. This guy was still a child at 18 years old. What did we know when we were 18? Nothing. As you get older, you realize you did not know anything of life at 18 years old. And we all made so many mistakes, right? It doesn't matter how small it seems now, but we made mistakes. And this guy admitted he was driven by hate because he believed the lies and the indoctrination that he received online. It doesn't excuse him for what he did. He still took the lives of 10 people, and he admitted to that, that he stole their lives from them and their loved ones. These people will never be the same. But guess what else he did? He stole from his own parents. His parents will worry about him until the day they die. They will worry if he's being harmed. We know what happens in prisons, right? Those of us who have never been in trouble ever, like myself and many of you, we still know what goes on. We don't have to guess what is going to. He's 19 years old and he has life in prison. Guess what his life is going to be? And he did it to himself. The statement came during the state sentencing hearing for Gendron, who pleaded guilty in November to one count of domestic act of terrorism motivated by hate, 10 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and a weapons possession charge for the mass shooting at Tops Friendly Markets on May 14th, 2022. A number of victims' family members spoke emotionally Wednesday about how the mass shooting had changed their lives. At one point, Gendron took off his glasses and began crying during the testimony from the victims' families. At another point, a man in a gray sweatshirt rushed at Gendron in court, but was quickly blocked by security, and Gendron was taken out of the courtroom. After a short break, Gendron returned to the courtroom, and Erie County Court Judge Susan Egan restarted the hearing. "We cannot have that in the courtroom," Egan said. "We must conduct ourselves appropriately because we are all better than that." In the end, the judge sentenced Gendron to life in prison on each of the terrorism and murder charges and offered a stern rebuke of him. "There is no place for you or your ignorant, hateful, and evil ideologies in a civilized society," she said. "There can be no mercy for you, no understanding, no second chances. The damage you have caused is too great, and the people you have hurt are too valuable to this community. You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again." Erie County District Attorney John Flynn said after court, the sentence put legal closure on the case, but not on the broader issues. "It certainly does not put any closure on what we need to do as a society and a community going forward," Flynn said. "Justice was done with a small j today, but we still have a big J of justice to do." So you guys, the story goes on talking about the man who rushed him and wanted to choke him and all of this stuff. But this is a very sad story for every family member involved, because not only do the victims' families have to go on knowing that even though this guy will stay in prison for the rest of his life, they will never have their loved ones back, and their lives have changed. His family will still get to see him, speak to him, but they are also going to suffer. Could you imagine your child being in prison for the rest of his life, which means for the rest of your life? His parents are going to suffer. They will. And he did it to them, just as he did it to these other people, but on a larger scale, I would say, because, it's just different, in my opinion. What do you guys think? I think that the sentence was right. Life in prison for what he did, no parole, no nothing of the sort. And I think that he's lucky he didn't get the death penalty. I don't know if there's a death penalty in that state, but if there, and I should have looked that up, but I didn't, you guys. But if there is, let me know if in New York there's the death penalty available. And if there is, I wonder why he didn't get it. Maybe because he pled guilty and he took responsibility and he admitted to what he did. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. This is sad all the way around, you guys.